Top of the hour, I'm Poppy Harlow in New York. You're watching CNN, and we begin this hour with politics and the rhetoric on the campaign trail heated as ever. Both candidates unleashing pointed on-camera attacks at one another last night. Hillary Clinton now apologizing for how she characterized Donald Trump supporters. Here's the comment that she now says she regrets.
You know, to just be grossly generalistic, you could put half of Trump supporters into what I call the basket of deplorables. Right? The racist, sexist, homophobic, xenophobic, Islamophobic, you name it. But that other basket of people are people who feel the government has let them down, the economy has let them down, nobody cares about them, nobody worries about what happens to their lives and their futures, and they're just desperate for change.
Well, Clinton said in a statement just a short time ago, quote, let me read you part of it. Last night, it was grossly generalistic, and that's never a good idea. I regret saying half. That was wrong. She goes on to say it's deplorable that Trump has built his campaign largely on prejudice and paranoia and given a national platform to hateful views and voices, including by retweeting fringe bigots with a few dozen followers and then spreading their message on to 11 million people. Now, to Trump's latest attack on Clinton, the Republican presidential candidate last night speaking at a rally in Florida, suggesting that Clinton could commit an act of violence in public and not face any consequences.
Because she is being so protected. She could walk into this arena right now and shoot somebody with 20,000 people watching right smack in the middle of the heart, and she wouldn't be prosecuted, okay? That's what's happened. That is what's happened to our country. I never thought I'd see the day when this is happening to our country.
The dueling insults from Clinton and Trump getting strong reaction today. Let's bring in our political panel to talk about all of it. CNN political commentator, Washington correspondent for The New Yorker, Ryan Lizza, is with me. Also with us again, A. Scott Bolden, the former chair of the Washington, D.C. Democratic Party and a Clinton supporter. On the other side, Scotty Nell Hughes, CNN political commentator and Donald Trump supporter. Ryan, let me begin with you before we get to the partisan divide over all of it. Where does this fall compared to Romney's 47% comment, or Obama talking about Republican supporters clinging to their guns and religion? Where does this fall in that line of gaffes, if you will?
Well, I mean, I think both of those were big issues for the Obama thing about, the bitter clingers was a big issue for conservatives. The Romney thing about the 47% was a big thing for liberals. But I don't think either comment had the consequences that people seem to suggest in hindsight. It did not cost Romney the election, as some people argued after that election. If you look at the polls after the 47% comment, they didn't really change. That being said, look, I think as we were talking about previously, I think that some Republicans will use this to argue that Hillary Clinton doesn't understand the common people who are supporting Trump, that she's elitist. And I think the Democrats will use this as an opportunity to point out, well, wait a second. Yeah, there are racists and bigots who support Trump. Let's not be so politically correct that we cannot point that out. Maybe it's not half, but it is some number. So I think it's, like a lot of these things, it's fodder for a debate on both sides, which I'm sure we're about to have.
We are. But our Jeff Zeleny is reporting from the campaign trail just now that the reason that Hillary Clinton came out so quickly and said she regrets, she didn't use the word apologize, but regrets saying half of Trump supporters are racist, xenophobic, et cetera, is because the campaign wants to have this ongoing conversation and debate over how racist the Trump campaign is or is not. But until they had her apologize or say she regrets saying half of his supporters are that way, they couldn't get past that to have the discussion they want to have. Look, the reaction to this from the Trump camp has been swift and strong. Let's pull up two things. First, Donald Trump Jr., Trump's son, tweeting this. You know what hashtag is deplorable, attacking hardworking Americans, upset because their jobs have been sent abroad by politicians like Hillary. Then you have Trump's campaign manager, Kellyanne Conway, coming out and saying Hillary placing people in quote-unquote baskets, slandering them, but admitting after 8 years they are desperate for change. This has, Mike Pence just did the same thing moments ago. He said, these are hardworking Americans. Let's listen.
Hillary, I got news for you. I'm traveling across this country every day. I'm meeting the men and women who support Donald Trump in big cities and small towns. The people that represent the millions of people who support my running mate. They're good, hard-working Americans. They're factory workers and coal miners. They're farmers and business owners. They're law enforcement officers and veterans. They're students and they're seniors. They're moms and their dads. They're people who believe in freedom and in the God-given liberties enshrined in our Constitution. Hillary, they aren't a basket of anything. They are Americans, and they all deserve your support and respect.
So, Scott, as a Clinton supporter, look, this has been a campaign about insiders and outsiders. Did Clinton, with these remarks, paint herself as sort of the ultimate insider?
No, actually, I don't think so. In fact, she was talking to that group of Clinton Trump supporters that are hardworking, that are Americans, that believe the economy has been left behind them. That's who she was really talking to. And she's trying to drive a divide between them because many of them are very concerned about the alt-right and the white nationalist movement that seem to dominate Donald Trump's campaign.
What do you mean, Scott? Because just to be clear for our viewers so they have the context, she was speaking at a fundraiser here in New York City last night, raised $6 million. So a lot of wealthy people were in the audience who she was speaking to. But you're talking about the second part of her remarks where she says sort of the second basket of people are those who feel the government has let them down, the economy has let them down.
Absolutely. And there were wealthy donors there, but there were non-wealthy donors there, too. And she's going to double down on growing this economy.
How is that the case? Some paid up to $50,000. Just to be clear for our viewers,
and some paid up to and some paid far less than that. I don't want to. I wasn't there, so I don't know what the debate is. But in most fundraisers, you have a wide range of people giving because they're supporting Hillary Clinton. But she hasn't looked down on them, or she hasn't ruled them out. What she's trying to do is those who are uncomfortable with the racist and xenophobic aspects of Donald Trump's campaign, she's talking to them because she says, I've got a jobs program. We're going to rebuild America, and we know and we've heard that you feel left behind, and we're going to fix that. So that's a strong message to them, and she is trying to drive a divide between those two groups. But the half, that number, that was inappropriate, and that's what she regrets, and that's what she says she was wrong about.
So we just got a statement from Donald Trump. Let me read you part of it from him himself, not his campaign. Isn't it disgraceful that Hillary Clinton makes the worst mistake of the political season, and instead of owning up to this grotesque attack on American voters, she tries to turn it around with a pathetic rehash of the words and insults used in her failing campaign. Then he ends it by saying, I will be president for all people, and together we will make America great again. Scotty Nell, to you. Some would say, all right, she didn't use the word apologize, she used the word regret, but she came out pretty quick and said she was wrong, and Donald Trump doesn't do that.
Well, it's interesting you just read Mr. Trump's statement because it reminds me a lot of Barack Obama's tweet that he did after Mitt Romney's 47% when all the backlash was going rightfully so against his comments, where Barack Obama said, retweet if you support the candidate who's fighting for all Americans, not the one writing off half the country. And that was in September of 2012. So, you can see the parallels right here. I think when you call a spade, this was wrong for her to say across the board. And there's two reasons why you see the Democrats, people like Scott, defending it. One, I agree. They want to engage in this very desperate conversation right now about race, not necessarily offering solutions, but stirring up the emotions that go along with the race issues we have in this country. But two, they're doing damage control. They learned a lot in this last primary when Hillary Clinton said, we're going to put a lot of coal miners and coal companies out of business in that town hall in March of 2016. They had a lot of pushback for that. In fact, a lot of people thought that's the reason why she lost a lot of votes in some of these states like West Virginia over those comments when she was confronted by one of those men in tears who might lose his job because of her words. They're trying to keep this from getting absolutely, that the focus is going to be more on race and a distraction on race rather than the middle class workers she insulted.
Scotty, why do you call this a desperate conversation
Right. What are we desperate about?
About race, because I mean you've even seen some of the supporters at Trump rally after Trump rally after Trump rally that make clearly racist comments. And I'm not putting them into any baskets, and I'm not talking about any percent, but I'm saying, why is it a desperate conversation about race? Why isn't it an important conversation to have?
Because it's a very small, very minor crowd that have been highly condemned at these, if they have been that way. There's been actually more on the outside than on the inside of these rallies of racists. And those of you, we can go case by case, and I can tell you, when a man's sitting there and flicking off the rest of the crowd and insulting a man's wife, so unfortunately, actions have consequences. Mr. Trump has time and time again said that he does not, he absolutely condemns racism in any type, any sort of violence that happens at his rallies.
Holly,
You cannot, that's not the conversation this is about. This is about Hillary Clinton insulting middle-class, good, all-American workers like Mike Pence stated. This has nothing to do with race, which is what she wants to distract once again by.
Well, it does have something. It does have, Ryan, Liza, it does have something to do with race, regardless of the half comment or not, which is very important, right? But there is a conversation about race that needs to happen here, and the merit to what she had to say or not.
Look, there's just no doubt about it that the Trump's campaign has attracted and organized a group of Americans that was isolated and marginalized in politics, a group of Americans that are racists. You know, there's no doubt about it. There's a reason that David Duke in Louisiana is in love with the Trump campaign, right? I mean, we can't whitewash that out of the election. It's an important phenomenon that is out there, and just because it makes some of Trump's other supporters uncomfortable, we need to point it out. Now, did she paint too broad a brush here? Maybe, but look, there's a reason that white nationalist websites are supporting this campaign. There's a reason that he has become the candidate of that group of Americans, and it needs to be understood and explained.
She's made it clear that she painted with too broad a brush by saying she regrets it. But just hold that thought, guys. I have to leave it there and get a break in. Ryan, Liza, Scott Bolden, Scotty Nell Hughes, thank you very, very much. And also, I do want to point you to